This is going to be exciting. My next guest is one of the best gospel and soul singers working today. She was one of the original members of a group called the Sweet Inspirations, and she's appeared on hundreds of records as a backup singer. She also has a few famous relatives, including a daughter named Whitney Houston. Please say hello to Cissy Houston.
This woman was a powerful performer in her own right, a gospel icon, and the higher art of one of music's most well-known families. This was a voice that ran out regardless of the material she performed with, whether it was gospel, soul, or disco. This woman was the driving force behind the Drinkard Singers, the Gospelnaires, and the Sweet Inspirations before her vast and well-known section work led to a solo career. Although she launched her debut solo song in 1963, which was also the same year that she gave birth to Whitney Houston, who went on to become one of the most greatest vocalists of all time. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Cissy Houston. Now, if you guys love my videos and love supporting me, then I suggest you become a member of the channel, where I will be releasing exclusive videos just for you all. Be sure to get that family tier so you won't miss out on these exclusive perks. Now, before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now, without further ado, let's cue that intro. Cissy Houston was born Emily Drinkard on September 30th, 1933 in Newark, New Jersey, to Delia May and Nicholas Drinkard. She was the youngest of 8 children. Houston was the granddaughter of a black landowner in Blanky, Georgia, who later shared the land that he owned with Houston's father. During the time where it was very unusual for black people to have large landownings, Houston's parents placed a high priority on the children's education and church involvement. Around the time she was 5 years old, Houston's mother had suffered from a stroke. Her father urged her and her other siblings to sing spiritual songs to aid her mother's recovery and to lift the spirits of the household. Later, the siblings created the Drinkard Four, and they performed Julebees at numerous churches, including their own. Between the years of 1941 and 1942, Houston's mother passed away from a brain hemorrhage. And around 10 years later, her father passed away from stomach cancer. Houston temporarily moved in with her older sister Lee and her husband Mansell Warwick, where she helped raise her 2 nieces Dion and Dee Dee, as well as her nephew Mansell Jr. Houston attended Southside High School in Newark when she graduated in 1952. She began singing in the sibling Julebee quartet, the Drinkard Four, when she was 5 years old. They later changed their name to the Drinkard Jubilaires, and then again to the Drinkard Singers, after sisters Lee and Marie joined. Houston claimed in her 2013 book, Remembering Whitney, A Mother's Story of Love, Loss, and the Night Music Died, that the group did not sing professionally until radio announcer Joe Bostic hired them to open up for Clara Ward and Mahalia Jackson at the first ever gospel showcase that was titled the Negro Gospel and Religious Music Festival at Carnegie Hall in October of 1951. Not long after the group began singing on his gospel-trained New York radio show, they became regulars. In 2 October dates in 1954 and 1957, the group, which now included Houston's adopted niece, Judy Clay, the group joined Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Mahalia Jackson as one of several gospel acts to perform at the Newport Jazz Festival, earning appearances on 2 live albums that was recorded there. Shortly after their second Newport performance, they signed a recorded contract with RCA Victor Records, where they recorded and published the album A Joyful Noise. In 1958, making history as one of the first gospel albums to be issued on a major label. By the early 60s, the group landed on a Sunday morning television gospel show. By the end of 1962, the group had prematurely separated due to Houston's growing career as a session vocalist for secular recording artists. Houston was married twice. She married Freddie Garland in 1955, and together they had a first child, Gary Garland, who went on to play in the NBA. The couple divorced in 1959. Houston met John Russell Houston Jr. in 1957, and the couple, they had 2 children, a son named Michael and a daughter named Whitney, who went on to become a global megastar. Cissy and John was married in 1964 and they separated in 1991. She joined the Gospelnaires in the early 60s, and under her supervision they expanded into a floating collection of singers known simply as the group, with Doris Troy and her niece Dee Dee Warwick providing background vocals on countless soul, pop, and rock sessions. They participated in several Atlantic recordings, and Atlantic executive Jerry Ressler signed them to his label in 1967. He named them the Sweet Inspirations. Before Houston left to pursue a solo career at the end of 1969, they produced some gospel-flavored soul in the late 60s, scoring a few hit singles while also backing up other singers, including Aretha Franklin, Elvis Presley, and Jimi Hendrix. Under the name Cissy Lee Blair, Houston released her first secular solo album titled This Is My Vow on Eminem Records. Followed by Bring Him Back. That was accompanied by War of Broken Hearts on Congress Records in 1966. Her first solo single before recording with the Sweet Inspirations was Don't Come Running to Me. That was back with One Broken Heart for Sale that was released on Cap Records in 1967. On these early recordings, she was going by her real name, Cissy Houston, but some of them was misspelled as Sissie. Houston landed a recording contract with Commonwealth United Records in 1969, and here is where she released her debut solo album, presenting Cissy Houston, that was released in 1970. Now this album produced 2 songs that peaked on the Billboard R&B charts, with I'll Be There that peaked at number 45,
and in my dreams I'll kiss you,
and Be My Baby that peaked at number 31.
be my baby now. Oh.
After the success of her debut album, Houston's contract was sold to Janus Records. Much like the Sweet Inspirations, the content comprised of petty, well-worn soul, rock, and pop songs, but the state-of-the-art orchestration and gospel-ish voices made it appear fresh. Houston released many more singles for Janus until 1973, but she never received the recognition or attention that she deserved. A great example is that she was the original singer of Midnight Train to Georgia, which Gladys Knight and the Pips took to the top of the charts nearly a year later. Houston had a joint album with Herbie Mann in 1976 on the album Surprises. And from 1977 to 1980, she released a studio album each year while continuing to perform on sessions and commercial jingles. Michael Zager extensively produced and arranged all 4 albums. First, for Private Stock, when she recorded her self-titled album, and Think It Over. Now, 3 charted songs came from this era: with the songs Think It Over that reached number 32 on the R&B charts and number 5 on the disco charts.
Really care. That's something that you should know.
Houston also co-wrote a string of Latin dance floor tracks as a consequence of the sessions. Houston then signed with Columbia Records and she released Warning Danger and Step Aside for a Lady. It doesn't only happen at night. And You're the Fire, both from that album, peaked at number 24 on the disco charts. Houston did not release another album until the early 90s, but she provided backup vocals on notable 1980s albums by Chaka Khan, Luther Vandross, and Diana Ross, to mention a few. And in 1987, she recorded a duet with her daughter Whitney called I Know Him So Well. In 1992, she recorded a duet album with Chuck Jackson called I Take Care of You. Later in the decade, she released 2 albums that won a Grammy for Best Traditional Soul Gospel Album, and these albums was Face to Face, that was released in 1996, and her 1997 album. Around the same period, she contributed to the soundtracks for the movie A Time to Kill and the Whitney Houston starring film The Preacher Wife. In 1995, the Rhythm and Blues Foundation presented her with a Pioneer Award. In 2014, she was inducted into the National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame. The following year, the Gospel Image Award presented her with a Lifetime Achievement Award. In 2019, she was inducted into the New Jersey Hall of Fame. Following Whitney Houston's tragic passing, Houston wrote a book, Remembering Whitney, My Story of Love, Loss, and the Night Music Stopped. Sadly, on October 7th, 2024, Houston passed away at the age of 91 while in hospice care for Alzheimer's disease. Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song by Cissy Houston or a song she sang background on?